So good morning, welcome everybody, nice to see you all. Welcome from my kitchen to your kitchen at this peculiar and odd time. Nice to have you all on board. I hope you had a wonderful Easter, lots of tasty Easter eggs and treats, and you've had a chance to relax and catch up with everybody. So I'm talking to all of you girls, Talking Girls Grammar this morning for our piece we're cooking today, which is going to be an egg and vegetable roasty. It's like a hash brown Easter egg nest, so we kind of a nod to the Easter from last week. If you're watching me and you're at Talking Girls Grammar, then you have got a post down the side there, that side, there we go. You've got a post down the side there where you can talk to me throughout this, send any photos or videos of what you're doing while you're going along, or have any questions, then please let me know and just put those down the side of the screen there, and that's where I'll know a bit more about what's going on. I have obviously sent you the recipe already, but we'll be flicking backwards and forwards between the recipe today for all of those that haven't got that recipe, so we can go through. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, that's great, nice to have you on board. I know we've got people watching this and doing this lesson across the world, from Canada to Africa at the moment, which is great to have you on board here, and welcome to Talking Girls Grammar School if you're joining us as well. So before we begin, we're going to go through a bit about setup and preparation, and then we're going to go straight into today's recipe. Now, there's going to be some alterations, that's fine. We're in a lockdown larder situation across the world at the moment. So if you can't get hold of all the ingredients today, that doesn't matter. We can alter and change and adapt these recipes to fit you and what you've got at home and what you've got available to yourselves. I'll give you some tips as well about some other lockdown larder things that are coming up over the next couple of weeks, and some challenges for you as well. So great to have you on board. Who have we got there? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attendees are going up now. There we go. If you can see me and you can hear me, just give me the thumbs up down the side there. Let me know you can see what's going on. And that would be great, and we can let you know down there. Brilliant. Right. I mean, it all seems to be working okay. Anyone else? Oh, there we go. Some more messages there. Let's have a look. Yep. Right. So good questions. Let's start with a few couple of questions already. I haven't got plain flour. Can I use self-raising flour? Yes. With this recipe, you can use whatever flours that you've got available. It's going to work either. You've got plain flour, self-raising flour, pasta flour, bread flour. It doesn't matter with this one. We can have a go with using this to different sorts of flour. Okay. Another one. Now you can either if you're girls, if you want to message me down the side, you can either do that privately or publicly on there to everybody else. It's fine, and I can message you back or talk to you, tell you the answers back. Okay, other questions. Got no potatoes. That's fine. Don't need potatoes for this one. We can use any kind of root vegetables for this one. So we've got potatoes, carrots, whatever. I haven't got any potatoes at home either. We are today going to be using. I'm going to be using carrots. So I've got lots of carrots, but no potatoes. I'm going to give you some hints about where you can get hold of your fruit and veg as well in a little bit later on. Okay, before we begin, let me just give you an introduction to what we're going to be cooking today then, and just tell you a little bit about that. Okay, that's just going through. So for today, we are doing a egg and vegetable roasty. Sorry, let's go back to that one. Egg and vegetable roasty is hash brown Easter nests, to nod to Easter there. Looking at food commodities. What we're going to be doing before we get started, we need to get our areas ready, we need to get yourself ready, and we need to get our equipment ready. And that is what we call Hattie. Okay, to remind everybody what Hattie is, it's a little breakdown of what we need to do before we start to cook, and that's brought to us by Hodder Education, the package we use here at school, and we'll be using the books as well for Hodder Education. For Key Stage 3 there, it's the Hodder Education Exploring Food and Nutrition for Key Stage 3. Okay, so first thing is H is for hair tied back or wearing a hat if you have to. If you've not got that, you can have a hat on instead. Wash your hands, that's your H's. Your A is put your apron on. T, make sure your tabletop is clean and ready to go with anti-bac spray or something similar to make sure it's all cleaned down. Very important at these peculiar and extraordinary times at the moment. It's always useful for T again, which is collecting a tray for it, so you can keep everything organised for you, everything to go on. And those things that need to go on there are I, ingredients, and E, equipment. So we'll go through what you need as you're going through this one with you. And then today's recipe. So there is today's recipe just coming up onto your screen now. That is our egg and vegetable roasty, our hash browns, hash browns Easter nests. So you can see as we go through the steps by steps, and we'll be flitting backwards and forwards from this recipe as we go through it. Number one there is about we're going to be shredding up our potatoes, carrots, or other root vegetables that you might have available with you in your house, grating them, soaking them, dicing up some onion and chopping that one up small. We're going to be adding some herbs. Now, parsley is a good one. Lots of different types of green herbs can go into that one. We can do alternatives. Maybe some sage would go nicely with the onion as well. We're going to wring those vegetables out, get any excess water out, any starch if you're using potatoes, particularly important. We're going to combine all those ingredients together, mix them all up, get a little bit of bacon in there as well, or ham if you've got that, and then we're going to make them into our nests, and following on from that we'll put together the fillings, bake these off for about 20 minutes. Okay, so let's get back to me and we will go through and carry on. I say any questions, please feel free to put those down the side, and we'll get going. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to be starting, so we need to start as we would do in any situation at school, and that is that first one, and we need to make sure we have got our areas ready. We need to make sure we're ready, and we need to make sure that we are very hygienic. So I'm just going to pop around my kitchen here. Here we go. So here we are back over in my kitchen here. I'm sure very similar to yours. We got the sink here. I'm just going to wash my hands properly. So you need to wash your hands for 20 seconds. So using your hand gel, remember proper washing hands. Let's go through this one. It's rubbing them together, of course, but then you need to be doing between your nails. There we are, but good nails. Thumbs, let's make sure we've got those thumbs covered. Let's do the back of the hands between your fingers there, back of the hands between the fingers. Okay, and then don't forget those wrists as well. So I've got soap all over. Now the next thing is you need to be making sure you've got hot soapy water in here. So let's do that next. So the same procedure. Let's rub them. Let's do the back of the hand, the nails. Let's do the back of the hands. There we go. Let's do our thumbs, make sure they're all properly cleaned off. Let's do those wrists. Okay, so and as you know, if you're washing your hands at home, you're going to be doing this for 20 seconds. Okay, properly cleaning those hands off to make sure we are ready to go for today. Okay, once you've done that, we need to work on the next bit. You can remember, if you've got hair longer than mine, you need to make sure that's tied back. So if you've got longer hair, let's make sure that's down to shoulder length or below. You need to make sure that that is tied back. Have you done that one? Let's make sure you've all done that one. And then we need to make sure we are dressed and ready to go for today. So you need to get your aprons on, so we don't get anything. I'll get my school whites on as well. And we're going to be making sure we are ready to go. So make sure you've got your apron tied up and nicely so that you get yourself covered, so you're not going to get any foodstuffs on you, and we're not going to get any contaminants from you to the foodstuffs. Let's make sure we're all nice and clean and ready to go and hygienic before we start to cook. Okay, fabulous. Any shout outs we want to do? Anyone's birthdays coming up you want me to shout out? Let's put those down the side as well, why not? Today, let's get my apron on and we'll get ready to cook there. Is everyone all having a Did everyone all have a good Easter holiday there? There we go, tied up, ready to go. All right, anyone cooking at home with the whole family? That'd be interesting to know. Have we got your family with us today, cooking along? Let me know down the side, and then that'd be great. Okay, so I'm back at my workstation now. I've got my area nice and clean. I've got my chopping board all nice and clean in my work area, and we're going to get ready to go. So let's see what we're up to. There we go. Now, for this one, we need to be using some root vegetables to start with this one. So we're ready to go with this one. We need to just get our root vegetables out. So the root vegetables I'm going to be using are going to be carrots, because I can't get hold of any potatoes at the moment. In the lockdown larder situation, you might be able to get different sorts. You might be able to have some potatoes. Brilliant. If you've got potatoes, that's a great way to go forward. Now, we need to, we're going to grate these ones, but before we grate them, we're going to peel them off as well. So with your vegetable peeler, make sure you're peeling away from yourself when you do this one. We're going to just peel down the outside. So also make sure you just wash these off before you begin. So I've washed mine already. I'm just going to peel mine, so you can see what I'm up to down here. There we go. Can you see my board? Let me move that one further down so you can see where my hands are as well. Let's move the camera back a bit. There we go. So I'm just going to peel those down for you. There we go. peel all of those down. Now don't forget, we don't want to be wasting these ones, so when you've peeled these off, you want to be composting these and using them to go into your veggie patch if you've got a veggie patch at home, and that's a good way to be able to get hold of ingredients at this weird and wonderful time that we're in at the moment. So that would be a good thing to do. You could be using those peelings for that, or maybe you've got a pet at home that you could feed those peelings to, but let's try and reduce the amount of food waste we're creating at the moment and be useful with our food waste. So we're just going to peel those down. Again, I'm just peeling away from myself there, so there's no chance of me being able to cut myself, as you would do with a knife when we're chopping. We're doing some chopping in a minute. I'll just go recap on our chopping. So let's go there. Okay, so that's my carrots peeled. So if you're doing potatoes, that's what I originally made this recipe for. But so we can adapt, we can amend. That's fine by me. We can make sure that we're ready to go there. Okay, carrots are ready to go there. Just going to chop the very ends off, and then we're going to start to grate those ones. So I'm just going to very chop the end off. Now, if it's bridge or claws, so I'm going to be talking about bridge and claws in a minute, and we're going to talk about different sorts of knives. So remember, when you start to cut, you should, if it's not already long and thin, you should start with a bridge. There we are, that's a bridge. This would be the knife that goes through that bridge, and we chop down there, chopping in that motion. If it's already long and thin already, then we go straight into the next one, which would be the claw. Remember, with a claw, we're putting our hand out, thumb right back, so push that thumb right back, put those fingers over the top, form the claw, then you put the blunt side against your finger knuckles, and we're just going to be cutting it away. This is already fairly long and thin, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into a claw, and I'm going to chop that end off there. So just the same with the other carrot. There we go. How many does this make? That is a good question. So this one will be making, you should be able to make about 6 of our vegetable roasties with this one. Okay, so if you've got a couple of large potatoes, or 2 or 3 smaller potatoes, or 2 large carrots, you should be able to make 6. My brother ate 3 cream eggs in one day. Wow, that's some going. Do you know what the average is though for a whole year? Here, a bit of a sidetrack here. You've got me on the digressing here. The average British person in a whole year eats 5 Cadbury's cream eggs in a whole year. That's the average British person. There we go. Eats 5 Cadbury's cream eggs a year. So a bit of a silly fact in there while we're talking about Easter, and we're going to make our little Easter egg nests today. Okay, let's get back to it. So I've got my carrots ready to go with this one, and you may be having potatoes at home. That's fabulous. I'm now going to go on to grating. Now remember, with cheese grater, these are like little mini knives, so please be careful with all of these. And with all of these situations, you should always make sure you let grown-up know exactly what you're doing in the kitchen prior to doing it, if they're not with you already, so you know that we're going to be all safe and secure in our homes. Now, carrot, with this one, I'm going to use the largest of the hole cutters if you've got the variety. I've got a variety on this one, so I'm going to use the larger of this one. If you haven't got a variety, just use whatever you've got, but the larger one. And I'm going to be going down the length of it. Now, normally you might think about going that way. I'm going to be trying to do as much as I can down the length. The reason I want to do that is I want to get long strands so we can tie up our little nests that we're going to be making. Now, the same with the potato. So rather than going end on with the potato, try and go down the length of the potato with this one. Just a little tip there while you're doing this one. Keep your fingers and thumbs right back so we don't end up grating any fingers and thumbs. And we just want to get that down, and we're going to end up creating lots of lovely strands for it. Now, as I said, although I made this one originally for potatoes, when I put this recipe together, actually with carrots, it actually works quite nicely. And if you're say at Talkie Girls Grammar at the moment, and you spoke to any of your other fellow year 8s yesterday, we were doing this one yesterday with the year 8s, you'll find that these actually make quite nice nests this way around. So with the carrots, and the outcome look really quite nice. After today's lesson, please post your pictures, and the best of those pictures we end up putting onto the Facebook, the school Facebook. For those who are watching this on YouTube, that's the Talkie Girls Grammar School Facebook. You can see what the girls have been producing for this lesson, so you can come and see how and join us up at this school across the other schools from across the world, which is quite amazing. I say at these peculiar times, we're all doing some amazing things, and that's great to know. Okay, so that's the first of my carrots done there. Just coming to the end of that one. Now, if you're talking Girls Grammar, feel free to put the notes down the side. If you're watching this back on YouTube, then just put your comments on the bottom here. That's great. Or in fact, even if you're at Talking Girls Grammar and you're watching this back on YouTube, you can put your comments along the bottom there of the screen. All right, you can see there I've got a good bit of the carrots in there. I'm going to put these carrot bits now into a bowl which I prepared earlier of cold water. So I've just got some cold water in there. Actually, it's slightly tepid, but we're going to be putting the carrots into there. Now, more so, especially with the potatoes, you'll find that this is going to be great. We're going to be taking some of that starch out of the potato when we cook these off. So get a nice crispy finish on there. There we go. We're going to just put those ones into some water there. Keep those ones on the side. I'm going to do exactly the same as I did with the last carrot, with this second carrot now. Again, down the length of the vegetable, and we're going to put this in. Now, why are we doing this at the moment? So we're going lessons at the moment on vegetables, sourcing vegetables and the vegetables, and bits more about the nutrients of the vegetables as far as theory lessons. So this is why we're doing this one now. I thought it'd be a nice one where we've been talking about nutritional values of vegetables, and now we are going to actually be cooking with them. So let's talk a bit about this. This is a lesson. So carrots. Let's see if anyone's at home while we're doing this one can answer this question for me. So carrots. What did any parents or grandparents or someone at home may have said to you about eating lots of carrots? What does that provide you with? What's that good for? If you eat lots of carrots, it enables you to do what? Let's see if anyone can answer that question for me. Just give you a couple of minutes just to have a think about that. At home, eating lots of carrots enables you to do what? You may have thought it was just a story that people told you. Anyone got that one coming in? I'll give you a couple of minutes. Eating carrots enables what? Okay, everyone's mind's done there. Anyone coming in on that one? Feel free to just write your comments down the side there. Just going to clean my work surface down. Get the last bits of those carrots off there. Put those away. Yes, aha, we've got some more comments coming in. Clean my hands. Clean work surface. Okay, so we're just going to scroll down there on the side there. See in the dark, that's right. So carrots, it says here, helps you see in the dark. Now you may have thought that was just something way of getting you to eat more vegetables. And there were times in history when that's exactly what people did do. They tried to do that so we could eat more vegetables, and there has been that in the past. But there is some truth in it. So what carrots do is they are really good for vitamin A and lots of other the vegetables as well, obviously. But vitamin A is a really a good source of found in carrots. So carrots find a really good source rather of vitamin A. Now, vitamin A is a fabulous vitamin. It's a micronutrient, and as a micronutrient, as a vitamin A, what does that do? Well, vitamin A actually does help our eyesight. It helps the retinas, and it helps our body in that way. All the vitamins have got various different functions and help and support our bodies in different ways. But the actual vitamin A is really good at our eyesight and your retina. So although we've said does it help you see in the dark? It does, but it helps you see in the daylight as well. It's just a really good one for our eyes. So there we are. Bit of digression there, bit of the vitamins there on that one. So we've got our vegetables there, and obviously vegetables are really, really good for all sorts of micronutrients, that's vitamins and minerals in your diet. We had a lesson on that one before about vitamins and minerals. Okay, we've got that one ready to go. They're soaking in the water there, so well done there, helping with your eyesight. All right, let's move on then. So we've got those, and they're just soaking away in a little bowl there, ready to go for it in a moment. While they're soaking away, we're going to move on to the next of our vegetables, and we're going to be moving on to our onion. Okay, now just to recap on how we did this one. So we've got the onion here. This is what our onion looks like, and if you can have a look at that one, you can see that at the top here we've got this kind of pointy part, and at the bottom here we've got these rooty, straggly pieces at the bottom. Now I'm just going to very quickly just do a quick little reminder on the best way to be able to put this one together so that you remember how to cut this one safely. Think of the vertical thinking. Let's think of your knives and how we cut. So we've got different types of knives. So you've got a little knife like this one. You've got bigger knives. So this one is a little paring knife. We're good for cutting vegetables. You've got this one, which is more like a chef's or cook's knife there. It's a bigger knife altogether. And you've got lots of other different types of knife. You've got a longer, thinner knife with a serrated edge, which we use for bread or carving. If you've got a serrated edge, but the one we're going to be using today will be the paring knife, the smalling paring knife. Reminder on those cuts again. So we've got two different cuts. We've got the bridge, which is where we will put the knife between our thumb and fingers and where we're holding the vegetables or fruit or whatever we're chopping down, and we chop down away from our fingers. Then you've got the claw. So thumb right back, fingers over the top, and we hold that one. We hold the knife so the blunt side of the knife is against our knuckles. And again, we're cutting away from our fingers. And they're the two cuts we're going to be using today. So just a recap of what we learned previously. All right, so how do we chop this little old onion so we don't cry? Well, here's a little reminder. I know we've done it before, but let's recap that learning. So I'm going to just draw on the board here behind me so that you can see there. On my big whiteboard here, we're going to be drawing out what we need to remember for an onion. So if you can imagine that the onion is very much like that, you can just about see that one, or not quite. Let's just see if I can just change the light so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. Let's see if that's better. Okay, so we've got our onion like this. Okay, now if you can see that the onion is looking a little bit like that, and on the bottom here we have those straggly roots. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at how we can cut this one so that we don't end up cutting ourselves and we don't end up crying. We don't want to be crying. So how are we going to do this one? Well, if you can imagine that the onion is actually a witch, hurrah! And this is her pointed hat. There we go, a little pointed hat at the top here. There she is. There she is, our little witch. Now, the bit that's going to make you cry is going to be these smelly feet at the bottom here. Now, we don't want to cut into those smelly feet, so we're going to try and do the minimal amount of cuts so we don't do that one. So how are we going to do this one so that you can still end up cutting this up safely and still not going to cry? So first cut you're going to do is we're going to cut her straight down the middle, okay? But we're going to be very careful that when we do that, we're going to be putting the bits I'm cutting into flat against the board. That is cut number one. Now, cut number one, we are going to start with a bridge. So let's put that one there, bridge. Now, cut number two. Once we've done that, we're then going to cut the witch's hat off. That's number two. And that is going to be our claw. Okay, so let's do that one and let's go step by step. So that's 1, 2. So let's do this one down on the board here so you can see what I'm doing. Here we have the board. Here we have the onion. Now I'm holding the witch or the onion around the center here. And when I hold it around the center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out that I'm going to make a bridge. You see the bridge I'm making there with my fingers and thumb. Now I'm going to put my knife through the middle of that bridge and cut down away from my fingers. So here we go. I'm just going to cut all the way down there. But I said I don't want you to cut into the feet. So we have done that. So we're going to have to be very careful now. So very fast now, very fast. I want you to put the two sides flat down on the surface. Okay, so none of the stuff that's going to make you cry can escape from that. So they're flat down on the surface now. All right, the next stage was to take the hats off. So we've done a bridge. We're now going to do the claw. Remember, thumbs right back, fingers over the top. We're going to rest that onto the top and slice the top of those witches' hats off. So we're picking up the knife safely. We're just going to slice the tops of this off. Okay, just going to slice it back. There we go. Oops, a little bit of paper come away from there. Let's see if you can see it better now. Slice the top of the witch's hat off. And I just move that to the side. Same again. with the claw, thumbs right back, fingers over the top, holding the onion down. I'm going to take the top of the onion off. Not the bottom. Bottom will make us cry. The top. Okay, now back to me. So we've got now 2 halves of onion, and what we've done is we've cut it in half using our bridge, and then we've cut it the other way, which is going to be our claw. We've cut the other way across. So we're now at the stage where we can move on to cutting up teeny tiny small. Okay, so we're going to move to the next stage. So what do we need to do next? Well, let's go back to our picture of the witch, and let's go with our analogy there of a witch. So at the moment, we've done the whole witch now. What we're going to do is we're going to end up looking something a little bit like this now. So that's a little bit like what the onion should look at the moment. At the bottom, we've got those feet underneath. But you'll find all the skin. We need to get down to find our next line. Okay, so that's our onion, and we now need to get to the underside, the insides of the onion before we can start our next cut. So how do we do that? We're going to pull back lots of the papery skin over the top of the feet. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to be doing that. Let's go back down to the onion. Okay, so here we have the onion here, and now we're going to just pull back that. So keeping it flat down on the work surface, we want to get the fingers underneath that outer layer of skin, and we're just going to pull it back down to where the feet would be. Okay, we're all doing that. Just pull that back down like that, and that will give us the next bit to cut. So I'm just going to put that one over there. So I'm just going to pull that back. Now, if it comes off, don't worry. I just want to pull it back so it reveals the insides. All right. So at this point, it should look a little bit like this. We pulled down the skin on both sides, and it was down, exposing the center of the onion. Now, when you do that, what you'll see in the onion is you've got lines that follow down. They're like little indentations. Now, I'm going to hold this one up. I wouldn't normally do this because it should be flat on the surface, but just so that you can see it for the camera there, you might just be able to see there are lines that are running down in those directions. And that will be the next bit we need to cut. Okay, so we're going to do a bridge and then a claw again, but using those lines. So how does that work? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to cut down those lines, not all the way to the bottom. I don't want you to go to the bottom here, because that's the bit that makes you cry. Okay, so we're just going to chop down around about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way down. And we're going to do that. It's going to be chop number 3. We're going to go back to chopping, so we're going to do that one with the bridge. The final of the 4 cuts will be the claw. So we go bridge and then we go claw. So the 4th one, we're going to cut the opposite way. We're going to cut that way. Again, we're not going to chop all the way to the bottom, because if we go all the way to the bottom, we might cry. So the 4th cut will be the claw. And we're going to chop the other way. All right, how does that work in practice? Let's have a look. Back to me, back to my onion. So I have now got here on the board, I've got the 2 onions. My lines are there, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop into those. So let's do this one. I'm going to first of all start with a bridge, and then I'm going to be chopping down as many of those lines as possible with it. So let me just show you that one. Just chopping down as many of those as possible, not going right to the end, staying well away from my thumbs. And the same with the other one. I'm going to do the same with the other. I'm just going to be chopping down each of these ones. I'll turn it to the side so you might be able to see a bit easier. There we go. just chopping down many of those lines as possible with a bridge. See there what I'm doing? I'm getting a few more out of this one, I think. There. Now I'm not going all the way to the end, just chopping down as many as possible like that, using the bridge going through. When I've done that, I'm going to put my thumb right back, fingers over the top, and I'm going to slice the opposite way. Okay, like a game of noughts and crosses. And I'm going to very thinly slice across there. It starts to fan out and splay. Don't worry, just keep your knuckle down as best you can. And we're just going to chop those down nice and thinly. Not to the ends. We'll keep that bit for composting later. Okay, let's clean our work surface down. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the other one. Going the other way now. Finger right back, thumb right back, fingers over the top. Forming a claw. I'm going to slice that piece the other way as well now. Okay, so I've now got, remove that, my onion all nice and thinly done in the centre there. Now that onion, if you can remember, now has formed a six-sided cuboid. That six-sided cuboid, or if you think of a cuboid that's six-sided and got dots on it, it's a dice, and this is our dice cut. Nicely chopped up, nice and even slices there, and that is our nice safe way of being able to do that one. Okay, back to me. So that is how we chopped up our onion, and that's now all going to go together in the same place. But before we do that, we just need to go back to our carrots or potatoes that have now been soaking, and we're just going to go through those and work with those. There's something we need to do with those first, so let's do that one. Okay, back to my work surface. What I've got here going on is I've got the bowl of my carrots or potatoes that were soaking, and I've got my onions now in my bowl there as well. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to get those carrots out, or potatoes out if you've got those, and we are going to just pat them dry. Okay, we're going to wring them dry and then put them back in. Okay, so we're going to mix those with the onion in a moment, but before we do that, we need to get them out. So I'm just going to get some kitchen roll. There we go. Some kitchen roll here, and we're just going to form a little bit of a pillow for them. Just there on the work surface. I've got the pillow there on the work surface, and then I'm going to take out the carrots or potatoes if you've got those, and I'm just going to put those ones laid out onto the kitchen roll there. And remember, these are going to form the base of our nests here, but we just want to get the water out of them, and if it's potatoes, all that starch as well that's going to be inside the potatoes. So we're just going to get them all down there. We're going to get a few more. Oh, lots there, lots of yummy carrot. Don't worry if you've got extra there and you want to use it for something later on. Maybe you're going to make some coleslaw or bits and pieces with that. I'm just going to put those onto there. Right, that's pretty much all of it there, ready to go. Okay, then I'm going to get another piece of kitchen towel, and I'm just going to dabble that over the top. If you haven't got a kitchen towel at the moment, again, lockdown larders and all that, that's fine. A kitchen roll, so instead of kitchen roll, you could use a tea towel. And now what we'll do is I'm just going to wring that one out. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze that. Say if you've got a tea towel, we can do that one as well. So I'm just going to wring that out. It's going to squeeze all of that water out. You can see some of that water all coming out there. I'm going to squeeze all of that out and dry that off as best we can. Oh, it's really squeezing tightly. Okay, let's try another piece of that kitchen roll. And we're just going to again squeeze it as best you can and get all of that water out. There we go. All right, so we've now squeezed lots of that out. You can see I'm just squeezing it really, really tightly. Squeeze as much of that moisture out as possible. Okay. Now, while you're doing that, let me just come back and get some. Let's get some comments on there. Let's see how we're doing comments wise. We've got a few different comments going on there. Let's have a look. It does, it helps your eyesight, see in the dark. Good carrots there. You've got lots of you all got that one right. Well done. What did you do with the onion? I missed that. Right. So the onion here, what I've done is I've diced up our onion, and the diced up onion is in there. We just showed you through some cutting methods of doing that. If you missed it, don't worry, because you can always watch again on any of these. You can pause and rewind. That's fine. And these will also be available on YouTube after school today. So there's my diced onion in there. So yeah, you don't have to put, you can put these down as anonymous then if you don't want everybody to know. Some people have put different messages down the side there. I'm just answering those messages as we go. Brilliant. So I've got my carrot now that's been shredded, and it's been just squeezing out as much of that moisture as I can. If you've done it with potato, that's fine. I'm just going to peel that back, and you can now see inside there I've got all my dried carrots in there. Now I'm going to mix the carrot with the onion. So I'm going to put the carrots in with the onion now. Let's get that one all into there. I've got all of that carrot and onion mixing together. All right. You see all that going into that. Let's get all of that into there. And we're going to get a bit mucky with those in a minute. And we just try and get the rest of that in. There we go, as much of that as possible into our bowl. Now we've squeezed all of that water out and all of that moisture out there. A little bit there extra. Okay. Brilliant. So we've now got in there our carrots and our onion, or potato and onion. If you've done potato and onion in there, that's great. Okay, I'm just going to quickly flick back to the recipe for you so you can see where we're up to. Let's go and show you where we're up to there. So we need to add something to this bowl as well. You can see on the recipe there. What we need to add now is we need to, we've got the peeled and shredded potato or carrots in there. We've got the onion diced up in there. We've wrung the vegetable dry with tea towels. We need to add, as per number 2, we need to add some seasoning to this. Now, rather than putting pepper and putting salt in it, it's not good for the old heart. Let's think about herbs that we can use. So, what herbs can we use? I've said there 1 tablespoon of parsley and a teaspoon of chives would work nicely with this one. But let's see, let's go back. Let's see what we've got available in your kitchens. So we can have or even in your gardens if you want to do that one. So let me send myself live and tell you what we're going to be using in the kitchen here. So I'm going to be using, in my kitchen here, I have got some parsley. So I've got some dried parsley, so I'm going to be putting in there a tablespoon's worth of dried parsley into my mix there. There's my mix, and I'm going to be putting into that a tablespoon of parsley. So here we go, tablespoon of parsley into the mix there. That's into the bowl there. I'm going to put a teaspoon. Now I haven't got some chives there. I'm going to be putting in some sage for myself, but if you've got some chives or other kind of green herbs in there, we can add that in. I'm going to put a teaspoon of sage. The sage and onion goes really nicely together. Just going to put myself a teaspoon of that in. Fabulous. All right, so I've got my seasoning in there, and that is nearly ready to go there. So I'm just going to stir all of that in together. That is looking like a beautiful nest material there for my eggs. You can use other stuff, absolutely. So you can add other herbs into this one, green herbs in there. So sage goes really nicely, chives go nicely, parsley goes nicely into there. Now, if you haven't got these in home, one way to say start to grow. Let's use this opportunity at the moment while we're at home to grow some fruit and vegetables and grow herbs. So we've got some bits and pieces growing. Those bits of carrots that we showed you earlier, let's get the ends of those carrots, let's get them growing. Let's put them into pots, let's plant them out, let's get them growing. Potatoes, brilliant. Any old potatoes, we can get them out, we can get them growing in the ground. It's a good time to make sure to try and start growing potatoes. We've got some growing in our back garden at the moment. Getting hold of fruit and vegetables at the moment. So we're using the school provider, the Normal Talkie Girls Grammar School provider for ingredients. So my ingredients get delivered into class by a company called Bidfood. Now, a couple of weeks ago, obviously, when all schools started shutting down all the restaurants, Bidfood still had all this food, so they're now delivering to homes. So well worth doing that. Look up Bidfood for the grown-ups. Tell your parents about Bidfood. They do deliver, and not only do they deliver lots and lots of great fresh fruit and vegetables, but they have tons of the next stuff we can use. Loads of flour. So we've just ordered in, just looking up there, we've got 24 bags of this, loads of flour there. So if you can't get it in the supermarkets, you can't get tomatoes, tomato baked beans, tomato puree, all of those sort of things. well worth going to Bid Food for those. If you're watching this on YouTube, they deliver UK wide, so they're across the country. If you're watching this from other countries, or even in this country, you might be worth speaking to the people, your local pubs or restaurants or your different food outlets that are nearby. You drop them an email and see if they're within walking distance and local to where you are as part of your exercise. They might be able to leave outside some vegetables or some little packs of food for you. So it's worth getting you in contact with the people that normally supply or do things on a more of an industry level. So there we go. That's my little tip there for getting hold of these sort of things like flour and fat as well. We've got 48 blocks of fat for all the lessons I'm going to be doing. So they had loads of that ready to go. All right. So here we have our base of our nests ready to go. So we need to look at the next part of what we're going to be doing. So we need to look at getting the next bits together. We are going to be putting these in is going to be using something like one of these. So we've got some trays. If you've got muffin trays or cake trays, they'll work really nicely for that. If you're using these ones, these are silicone ones. You don't need to worry so much about greasing them. We will grease them, but if you're using more of a cake tin or a muffin tin, make sure you properly grease these ones up. And while we're getting ready to put things in there, we also need to preheat the oven. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to preheat the oven. The ovens need to be preheated to 190 degrees. That's gas mark 5. And next, you're going to need some sort of trays to put these in, put our little nests in. So if you want to just pop over, grab one of those close to hand. I'm going to use these ones today, my silicone molds for muffins, but what you've got available, cupcake ones, muffin trays. Yesterday people were using Yorkshire pudding trays. What's good for you? Now, with our year 10 class yesterday afternoon we were making tarts, and one of the things I was showing there is using up things that you might not normally think of to bake food in, and we were using tuna tins. So start saving tuna tins if you're using those. If you've got tuna in the cupboards, you've got any cupboard essentials, wash them out, and they make great little tins for baking mini little tarts, which are lovely. So save those sort of things. But I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go and preheat my oven now to 190 as well. So let me just come over here. It's a good opportunity to be doing this one. So I'm just going to preheat my oven. There we go, to 190. There we go. Mine's on 190 as well. I've got my trays ready to go. Now, we've got the nest material. We need to start thinking about the fillings for that. So I suggested bacon. So I've got some bacon here. So let's get over to the hob. I suggested some bacon, but if you haven't got bacon, then ham's going to work just as well. So let's just come over to my hob here. OK, so I've got my frying pan there. Remember, when you're using frying pans, think of health and safety on this one. Make sure that you have got with your frying pan, the handles pointing that way, away from the edge. Don't want them pointing this way, otherwise you can knock into them, and that's not good. So away from where the heat will be. Keep your handle away from there. I'm just going to put those in. I've got a little bit of bacon, say, going into this one. We've got some bacon there. Let's put the heat on. We'll put this on a medium heat. So if you haven't got bacon, just chopping up a little bit of ham to go in your nests would be great. Just going to put a little bit of oil in there. You put a drop of oil in there, with maybe a drop of butter or in there, just so it doesn't burn, or you can use a sort of a fry light spray. I'm just going to put that in there into the pan there, just so I don't even have to go near it. Okay, so that's there. The heat's there, just warming up nicely. You can just feel there. If I put my hand above, about 30 centimeters above, I can feel that heat's getting hotter, so I know the sort of temperature I'm at to. I'm on a medium heat there. I'm going to put in there a slice of my bacon. So if you haven't got bacon, that's fine. We're going to go what's in your lockdown larders, so that's fine. And you can put chopped up bits of bacon, maybe some pre-cooked meats in there. You could put a little bit of chicken in there. That's fine, yeah. I'm just going to put a piece in there. You don't need to put any meat in at all. So if you're a vegan vegetarian, you can either put a meat substitute in there. So meat substitute bacon would work fine, or just none whatsoever. That would be fine as well. If you're thinking about vegan as well, with the whole egg situation, so what could we do instead of the egg? So cream cheese, or you can put cream cheese in with the egg. And cream cheese would work fine with that as well. So I'm just going to put my bacon in with that. You don't need to. We can adapt, as I say, adapt these recipes for home. So I'm just going to be putting in a couple of bits of bacon into there, into my pan, and I'm just going to remove that one around there. So just use a, I've got a spatula in there. There we go. That's better. Let's use a spatula in there. Wooden spatula. I'm just going to move that one around to cook that bacon off nicely. Like I say, you don't need to use meat into this one, but I just find it's quite a nice one. It adds a bit of that umami, that savoury taste to it, which is really quite nice. You're going to get a bit of the salty flavour, if you want to, into it without actually having to put any salt into it. So I've got there some nice bits of smoked bacon there, just coming on nicely. We're going to chop this up really, really small. We're going to mix this in with our egg to form the centre part. And we're also going to be putting in a little bit of egg into making our nests as well. So there we have it. Remember, say my pan handle's out to the side. I'm using a wooden spatula just to move around my bacon while we're doing this one there. Let me just check if we've got any more questions while we're doing that. Let's have a look. We go down the side. Any more call out there? Oops. There we go. All right, I'm just going to go quickly. Someone's just going to have a quick look at the recipe again. Yes, absolutely. Let me just give you the recipe again. Show you where we're up to on that. There we go. Let me just do that one now. Okay, so where we're up to now, we've just got to the stage now. We're at number 8 there. You can see that onto there. Fan on there, sorry. Okay, so we're at number 8 now. We've got the chopped bacon that we're going to be putting in with the eggs for our centerpiece, along with some grated cheese. Okay, my bacon now is done. Lovely. I'll come back to that one. Okay, let's go back to the rest of the food there and get away from the fan there that's going off at the moment, just to make sure that we ventilate out all of the heat there and the smell so the fire alarms don't go off. We don't want that to be happening while we're doing this one. Okay, back to me. Let me go back to me. Oops. All right. So the bacon's now done nicely, and I'm back to my works area here. I'm just going to get that bacon in a moment, but let's get back to what we've got going on here. So oven's preheated, bacon's done. I've got my little dish there. I'm going to just get some butter in there just to grease that on. Okay, let's get that one in there. So I'm just going to grease the insides of these with a little bit of butter. If you want to brush some oil in there, that's fine. If it's vegan, if you can use a vegan alternative to butter, or if you want to just put some vegetable oil in and brush those in so they don't stick. I'm just going to put those in. It shouldn't do with this sort of rubber ones, these ones which are non-stick anyway, but especially if you're using a metal one, just make sure you've greased all the way around, because the last thing you want to do is put all this effort into making it beautiful little roasties and you can't get them out at the end. That would be terrible. So there we have it. They are all greased nicely. We got this definitely in there. Definitely anyway. It shouldn't stick. They're non-stick anyway, but we're going to make that in there. We've got our nest material here. Now we need to add a few little bits to our nest material, and those little bits we need to add to the nest material, as I said before, with a little bit of flour. So I'm going to be putting in there a tablespoon of flour, just to add a little bit of flour into this one. Any sort of flour would do. There we go, just a tablespoon of flour is going into there. And in with the flour, I'm going to be putting an egg. Now, if you're not using eggs at this point, and you don't want to use eggs, you can just add a little bit of water, but I'm going to add a little bit of an egg into this one. One egg white would be perfect. So let's get my chicken. So eggs courtesy of Bid Food. I've got 180 eggs for all these lessons. So if you wanted to do that one as well, so I'm going to just put in there a little bit of egg white. So let's just crack that one open and get the egg whites out.
I'm just going to put in there the egg white. Oh, lovely gooey. There we go. We love a bit of egg white. There we go. We're going to be putting the egg white, but don't worry about the egg yolk. I'm going to be using that one a little bit later on today when I do my year 10s. We're making some custard with that one, so I'm going to save that one for later on. Now I'm going to just mix up my egg whites and my flour with my onion, my carrots and my herbs. Remember, we put some herbs in there as well. We put some parsley, a tablespoon of parsley, and we put a teaspoon, well, I didn't put chives in with this one, I put a teaspoon of sage in with this as well. So I've got my egg nest material now. So that's the onion, the carrot or potato, my parsley, my sage, all of that coated lovely with the flour and the egg white to go into there. The egg white and the flour will help to bind or glue it, in cookery terms, binding it all together. Nest material done. Tray ready. Oven preheated. Let's get a nest material. So you can get gooey now. Get a handful of your nest material and put it into your little trays now, and just get that one in there. Push it right the way down into the bottom, into our nest material at the bottom there. What we're trying to do is we're going to say create little nests. And once you've pushed it in, if you just jam it right down the centre, not the outside, but the centre, and then we can put our egg in our nest. Okay, or instead, if you're not using eggs, maybe a little bit of cream cheese in there instead. So I'm just going to put the mixture into each one, evenly distribute the mixture between 6 of these muffin trays. There we go. We've got 6 of them in there. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Just getting my hands in there. Let's get a little bit messy and mucky. Why not? Why not? Why not? Have a bit of fun with this one. Fun in our kitchen. Hurrah! That's what we like. Okay, so we've got those nest material in there now. So now, just with your knuckles, just 2 of your fingers in there, jam in the middle, or if you don't want to, use a spoon, just to push the centre down a little bit. You can pull the outside of the nest up. So you're going to create kind of like a little nest. So you're just sort of pushing the centre down and pulling the outsides up a little bit. Okay, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm just sort of pushing. Use your fingers, or if you use a spoon, that's fine. And I'm just going to create this so they can come up the outside, and these are going to be our little nests. If you can see that one, I'll show you with the camera in a minute, so you can see exactly what I've done there. Okay, let's have a look so you can see. Move this up to the camera. You can see what I've done there. I've kind of created a little nest in there, so it pushed them up the sides and a little indentation in the middle. Okay, so we need to fill our little nests now. I'll fill our little egg nests up. So how are we going to do that one? Well, we need to next get on to making up another the eggs. So we're going to mix 2 eggs with some grated cheese and a little bit of that bacon, which I've just done, or if you've got ham, a little bit of ham in there, and that's going to form the centre. So let me just put those aside at the moment. I'm going to go and grab the bacon that I've just been cooking it off, and we'll mix the 2 together. So, just grabbing the bacon from the side here. There we go. So I've got the bacon there. So if you've got to see there's the bacon in there. So I'm just going to chop my bacon up teeny tiny small, or if you're using ham, you can use that. I'm just going to chop it up teeny tiny small. It's cooled down now. I'm just going to chop that up teeny tiny small for the centre of our nests. Okay, and the same with the other piece, just chopping that really small up, and that will form the centre of our nest. Now, while we're talking about lockdown larders and things you can be doing at home to get food in, one of the other things which we're going to be seeing a challenge going out to all the Talkie Girls grammar schools, or you could be doing at home if you're watching this back on YouTube, try and think about other ways you can get hold of food or have producing food. Yeast is one that's again really hard to get hold of at the moment from anywhere at the moment, is trying to get hold of yeast. So one of the things that we've been doing at home is we've been growing our own yeast for making bread. We made some beautiful stromboli last night and some bread rolls yesterday. And what we're using is we're making, this is my little friend here. Oh, smells amazing. I don't know if you can quite see that on the camera, but this is my sourdough starter. I started. I had one before, but I started a new one when we got the lockdown about 4 weeks ago. But it only takes about 4 or 5 days to do. I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to put a video up for everybody to do this. So if you want to make your own bread, if you've got some, get hold of some flour now, and you make your own bread. This is really, really lovely to do, and it doesn't take anything more than tap water, some tepid tap water, and equal quantities of that and flour. We put it into a jar. I'm using like a kilner type jar here, so it's got a top to it, but it's a loose fitting top, so it's covered but loosely covered. And then what I'll do is I'll leave that for a day, and then by the magic of microbial science, what happens is there's these yeast on everything. There's like yeast on fruits. There's all over the place. There's yeast around. The yeast will actually start to grow, and you'll see that because you'll start to see it bubbling and coming alive in front of your very eyes. After that, we start feeding it each day, and with a little bit of flour, a little bit equal quantities of flour and tepid water, and we just keep feeding it and building it up. And then after about 4 or 5 days, we start taking some of it out, using it, and then giving some more food. And eventually, you've got a living thing here that is going to breathe air into your foods, and it's really, really good way of making the yeast. And the flavour of the breads that come out is just immense. So I'm going to show you a little video on that. It's a little challenge coming up for all Talky Girls Grammar. All the Key Stage 3, that's going to be coming up in the next week or so with prizes. So I'll be putting that on videos as well. Other things you can do, if for flavourings and colourings at the moment, I've got here loads of them out at the moment. Dandelions. Okay, so I've got soaking here dandelions, a bowl of yellow, didn't quite see that, yellow dandelions here. I'm going out at the moment, they are so nice. Primroses as well. If you can find those when you're going out on your daily exercises, your walks around the house or walk around the garden, or you walk out just outside locally. There's loads on the banks and on the verges at the moment. Dandelions and primroses around here. Pick them. Clean them, obviously, but then yes, primrose is really, really sweet. Dandelions, you can make dandelion honey out of. You can make dandelion jam, syrups. We've got cherry blossom tree just outside here. Beautiful again. Take off the blossoms off that, boil it out, make some lovely syrups out of that, and different colours as well. Dandelions make things yellow. You can make violets at the moment, and if you're really lucky, I haven't found any just yet. You can find wild garlic growing at the moment. So lockdown larders doesn't mean you can't get some of your fresh fruit and vegetables just by doing a bit of food foraging. Now be careful, check out what you're cooking if you're getting hold of first, but a bit of food foraging is another way of getting hold of your foods. Brilliant. So again, there's going to be a little challenge coming out on there about that one coming up very soon on Talky Girls Grammar. So you'll watch out for those challenges. They'll be emailed out to the whole school. Can you freeze dried parsley? Yes, you can. Good questions coming in. So yeah, we've got all sorts of herbs growing. When we got locked down, we started growing all sorts of herbs out the back there. We're also growing figs, and we're growing blueberries. But yeah, these fresh fruits and herbs and vegetables, freeze. Most of them can be frozen, and then you can keep them for a later date. Anyway, back to today. There's my bacon, or you might be using ham, or you might not be using any, or meat alternative, or whatever you're using with that one. In with that one, I'm going to be putting in some eggs. So we've got some more eggs here. And so if you can get hold of eggs, this is brilliant. If not, maybe a little bit of cream cheese will work well with this one. Or in fact, you can put eggs and cream cheese into this one, and it'll still form nicely. So I'm going to mix in the 2 eggs here. So I've got 2 eggs in with this one. There we go. This is my first egg. In it goes. My second egg. There we go. Second egg is into there. I'm going to just mix up my egg and my bacon into there very nicely. There we go. So if you've got some cream cheese, wonderful. Mix all that in as well. So that's all mixed in. And I'm going to just put, if you're some normal cheese. I haven't got any cream cheese at the moment, but I'm going to just put into some cheddar cheese into that one. It goes nicely. So we've got a little bit of cheddar cheese in there. If you're using the same cheese grater, it doesn't matter if a bit of the carrot goes in there, because they're actually going to end up in the carrots anyway. So there we go. We've got some cheese there, cheese grater. I'm just going to put into some cheese into that one. Nice bit of cheese in there. I have ordered as well. I ordered the same as we got at school. So if you remember from school, my cheese there, I've got a massive 1.5 kilos of cheese as well that arrived yesterday. Great, brilliant, enough cheese to last for weeks now. So you can do that one again through these industrial or commercial ways of getting your ingredients. So you look at ways of doing that. So they're a good way of doing that. Lots of tips for you. Be a lockdown larder today, with lots and lots of things that we've been doing and you can be doing at home. So yeah, foraging is a great way of doing that one. Getting wild garlic is beautiful. I'm going to find some of that. We have got lots of gorse because we're up near Woodbury Common, so we can walk to Woodbury Common from us. And gorse is also a lovely one. Lots of going up there, nice yellow colour growing into that one. So I'm just going to mix in there my cheese. I'm going to put a bit more cheese into that one, I'll tell you what. How much? So 50 grams is what I've said. 50 grams of cheese works really nicely with this one. Sorry, the quality of the connection there seems to be going a little bit. But yeah, 50 grams of cheese will go really nicely with that one. I'm just going to mix that last bit of cheese in with this one. Okay, so I've now got cheese, bacon, in there. I've got all of that in there, cheese, bacon, and I've got the egg. Okay, so that's in there now, stirring up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the center of my nests. So that's what we should be looking at. All right, let's get that one into the center of our nests. Here we go. Sorry again. Yes. So the quality of the today is we've got the connection. Let me just check the connections there. Yeah, it's. Let me see if I can get the internet working a little bit faster for you there, so we can do that one. No, it's on the fastest one there. There we go, that's better. Right, hopefully, yeah, there we go. So we've got bits back on the internet there. So we're gonna now put in our center of our cheese and ham. Let's put all that lovely gooey center into the middle of our nests. And then straight into the oven at 190, gas mark 5, and that's going to go in there for about 20 minutes, depending on how much you've got into each of your cake cases. What are you looking for? Well, you're looking for the egg to be a golden brown colour in this and in the centre of your nest, and you'll probably find the very edges of your nest that go up around the top are going to be almost crispy, they might even start to look crispy brown, like a really dark brown. Don't want to burn them, but that's okay if they look a crispy dark colour, because don't forget we are looking for a nest. And a nest would be quite often made of twigs, and they'd be a browny colour. And what you want is the centre to be lovely and squidgy, but set, a moist centre, and you're going to have. Just going to get the last bits of the egg in there. And a crispy outside to your nest. There we go. Put the last bit of egg, cheese, bacon into this one. There we go. Okay, and that is all there is to it. You can quite see on there, we've got our nests are all filled now. There we go. Our nests are all filled, and we are ready to put those into the oven. So into the oven for 20 minutes, and they will be beautifully done. We're just coming up to the end. Look at that, 3 minutes over the lesson there. But it is a double lesson, so you've got more activities to do this after we've done this one. What do you mean more activities? Let me just go back to the recipe there. There we go. So you'll notice that obviously you're going to be baking them for another 20 minutes, and then you're going to take them out, gently remove them. What I suggest is a rounded butter knife or just a rounded tablespoon. A tablespoon will work fine just to remove these from your cases. I want to see some photos, so you have to take some nice photos of these. I want to see that you've done these correctly, and I want to see the skills going involved. But also, you've got some washing up and clearing up to do. You might be at home, but I will need you to do some washing up and clearing up as well as you would do in class. So as you would do in class, collect all your equipment you've used. I'd like you to wash up everything using the right method. So if you can remember what the first thing is you're going to wash up, put it down the side there. Can you remember what the first thing is you need to wash up? Yeah, that's right. The first thing you need to wash up is going to be the knife. Make sure when you're doing that,
that the knife does not fall into the sink. You don't want to be making sure you keep hold of that one. You use a brush if you can do, and cleaning away from the blade of the knife so you don't cut yourself. Leave that knife to dry on the draining board to the back so it's not likely to fall on anyone. Okay, then go with the larger items. So start with the frying pan if you used a frying pan, and your bowls, and then go to the smaller items there. So clean them up correctly and then drying them with a tea towel, putting everything away where it all came from, and checked. Well, it's not going to be checked by me as a teacher this time, but I want it to be checked by whoever's at home, whoever the person is at home who's supervising you or looking after you today. Let's make sure that you've washed up and cleaned up all your area. Now, I know that in class time that takes you about 15 minutes, so you've got a bit more time to be doing that one, but please make sure you're cleaning up. Okay, I don't want anyone to be saying that you've done your lesson today and made an almighty mess. I want you to be cleaning up properly. Okay, so that's today's lesson today. I want to see the photographs of what you've produced, so I know you've done those ones. You can put so girls at Talkie Girls Grammar, if you can send me those photos, put them through the normal way on Teams here. If you are watching this again on YouTube, feel free to post any pictures or email those pictures into us. That would be fabulous. But I do need to see your pictures now, girls. Like I say, the best of those pictures will be appearing on the school website, on through the school Facebook site. And for anyone else who wants to see those photos, you can see what the girls have produced through the school Facebook. That's Talkie Girls Grammar School. Please to do that one. Right, now let's just check we've got any more questions before I leave you to finish off and clear up and then get those in the oven and cook and then get them out. No, I think so. I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Any more questions, girls? Are we all okay? I can see that we've got 16 of you there. Any more questions? Is everyone happy with that? Looks like it. Thumbs up. Ready to go in the oven for some of these? Oh, need a few more minutes. Someone needs a few more minutes. That's fine. Anyone on the public post? Let's have a look there. No, it looks like we're all ready to go. So remember if you're doing this one, to make sure you clean up after yourselves. Remember about food hygiene. Make sure you clean up everything as well after you finish. So get into the oven 20 minutes. Give them a moment to cool down when you take them out. Use a spoon or a rounded butter knife just to remove them safely out of the tins. Put them down and take some photos for me, and then we can see what you've done. And don't forget to clean up properly on there. Wash and clean up everything. I want to make sure we're all nice, clean, tidy and clean and put away, and all those things put away for me. Girls, it's been great to have you on there. It's been great to have everybody on YouTube. If you're watching this back on YouTube, thank you very much for joining me today. As always, in these difficult times, can you make sure you take care of yourself, stay safe, look after yourself, look after the others around you, and I will see you again for another lesson very soon. Thank you very much from my kitchen to yours. Goodbye.